I'm Kim Winter, and as you know, I'm standing in for Nancy Richards, who's currently walking 320 kilometers of the Camino de Santiago, a pilgrimage in Spain, to raise funds for the Saki Bartman Center for Abused Women and Children. Nancy crossed the 100-kilometer milestone on Wednesday, and she's going strong. She and the team are on the last of the 100 kilometers stretch now, and we're going to cross live to her in Spain. Hello, Nancy.
Thank you very much. Absolutely lovely to be speaking to you. And you say we've passed the 100K mark. We've actually just passed the 41.5 mark, which sounds a bit like Camino FM, but we've just passed that. And with every K that we pass, I think, I can't bear it. We're nearing the end. It feels very, very sad. So, but, you know, I just heard that lovely jingle again, and I just really want to say first and foremost, thank you to all the people who've put in money, because it lifts our hearts and makes us feel so much better. So bless you to one and all who've done that. We really appreciate it.
I can imagine. How are you feeling?
Excellent. I mean, really good. You know, we had a couple of blisters right at the beginning, but there are pharmacias all over the place, so you can buy special things for the feet. So we're doing well. There's a few sort of bruises around the shoulders where the backpack straps are rubbing in, but it's feeling really, really good. As we walk along, it's just so beautiful. I don't know if you can hear the birds tweeting in the background there, but the birds are tweeting, and the smells of the woodland forest. It's lovely, and it just makes you feel good anyway. So and all is well.
Where are you, Nancy?
We're coming down into a town called Ribadiso, I think it is. Ribadiso. And then after that, another 3 Ks after that, we're going to call it a day for the day, because in about another, 40-odd Ks, we'll be coming into Santiago, which already starts to feel a bit emotional, so we really are counting down the moments. But, you know, it was interesting you mentioned there, is it Children's Day, or you mentioned the rights of the children?
Yes, it's International Children's Day today. International
Children's Day. You know, the funny thing is that we have seen so few children since we've been here, and I guess it's because we're walking through rural Spain, and it seems like a lot of the young people have migrated to the cities, and maybe a lot of the young people have even migrated out of the country. So we see a lot of old people, and I read somewhere or heard somewhere that a lot of the men have migrated into the cities, leaving the women in the rural areas. So we've seen a lot of women farmers. So we're back to your 43 muscles that it takes to farm. A lot of women farmers, you know, tilling the soil, using those old-fashioned scythes to cut back the land. So it's, the women are definitely left behind in the country doing the work, which is quite incredible. Oh, but I tell you, we actually have seen some children, because amongst the pilgrims, the peregrinos, there's lots and lots of single women, very intrepid women, but there's also a traveling family, and every couple of days we see them as a husband and wife, and they've got a toddler who's about maybe 3, and they've got a baby in a covered pushchair, and they've got a dog, and they're doing the whole Camino with the 2 children and a dog, which is breathtaking.
So impressive.
And the other... talking impressive, the other thing you mentioned, I think you also mentioned people with disabilities, and we just came through a little town this morning, and just as we were crossing over the rickety bridge to get into town, there was a man sitting there with just one leg. He had a sort of prosthesis on the other leg, and I thought, he can't be doing this walk. But he was there stamping our pilgrims' passports, and he had Paralympian written on his T-shirt, and he was stamping our passports and telling us where to go and wishing us buen camino and saying have a lovely day and which albergue to stay at. And, you know, just the people that you meet along the wayside are just so caring. And talking of women, there was one woman as we were coming out of one town. It was a very rural little town, and as we were walking through the cowpats and the mud, a little old lady came out of her front door, and she had a plate, and on the plate was a little white cloth, and she whisked off the little white cloth, and she had all these layers of pancakes. I don't know if I told you that story before, but it impressed us so much. And so we bought a little for a donativo, like a little donation. You buy a pancake, and she wishes you buen camino and sends you on your way. It's just too lovely, too lovely.
Delicious. You spoke about the family that's walking. Do people tend to walk in couples or teams?
Well, that's a very interesting thing. They do tend to. Sometimes we see people alone, and then sometimes we see them together, and we think, they've been walking together, and it turns out that they've only just met. The other night, where there was a young man We call him the polyglot because he seems to be able to speak every different language under the sun. Anyway, tall, very good-looking young man who turns out to be from Montreal, so he speaks, obviously, English and French, and he was walking with a Korean girl, and it seems he speaks a bit of Japanese. I don't know how his Korean is now, but probably a whole lot better than it was before. And she sang us a little Korean song at dinner, and suddenly everybody was quiet while she sang her little Korean song. It was beautiful.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, some people are walking in packs, and some people in twos. A lot of people walk alone. There's a lot of contemplation, meditation, but in the evenings everybody gets together and enjoy one another. And in fact, from here, there are quite a lot more groups of people because we've just passed Saria, which is 111 Ks, so it's 111 Ks. And it's a fairly big city, and it's where a lot of people come and they start the walk because then they can do just enough to get a passport, to get your pilgrim certificate. So quite a lot of new, fresh legs have started, including my son, who's just arrived from Dublin. So
yes, a new team
doing
member.
Pretty well, day two.
I was going to say, that was a good time for him to come in.
Exactly.
On the last stretch. Nancy, you mentioned pancakes. Tell us a little bit more about the food.
The pancakes. Well, the pancakes were one thing, but what has really taken our hearts is it's called Tart Santiago, and it's like a big, flat, round almond tart, and it's got the cross of Santiago, which is St. James's cross, on it. There's obviously a sort of stencil or a piece of card that they put on it, and then they dust the whole top of it with icing sugar. And it's absolute, there are no words to describe what a slice of Santiago tart with a cup of green tea tastes like when you've been walking approximately 5 hours. It's absolute heaven. And actually food is very big because just this morning I was thinking, you appreciate everything so much. You appreciate the water, you appreciate sitting down for a little rest, and you appreciate the food. And they have these pilgrims menus for about €8, and they pile on the food because they think you must be starving hungry. So, people cook with love, and you feel you're being fueled not just by the food, but with love as well. Lovely.
Well, please try and bring that recipe for the tart home. It sounds absolutely delicious.
Yes, actually, we made a note of that. We did think we should try and get the recipe.
Brilliant. Nancy, apparently you're going to be in a very special place on Monday.
What, indeed. We're hoping to Ola. A couple of pilgrims just passing by. There are lots of pilgrims on bicycles, incidentally, and they go ring, ring, and they flash past you with their neon colours. That's a bit frightening. But, yeah, after we reach Santiago, which we hope we're going to try to get in time for the 12 o'clock Mass at Santiago at St. James's Church. And then after that, we're going to rest a bit, and then we're going to get a bus to Finisterre, which means the end of the world, and it's about 100 Ks, but it's right on the sea, and it's apparently where St. James's body was washed up. The story goes that the motif, if you like, of the Camino is a shell, like a Camino, like a scallop shell. And apparently when his body was washed up, it arrived covered in these scallop shells. So the Camino, everybody carries a scallop shell. So we're going to take a bus down there and watch the sunset.
Fabulous.
And then we're going to come back to Santiago.
Well, hopefully we can touch base with you on Monday. I hope so, because that would be our last crossing to you.
Well, we'll be at the end of the world, so we can try.
Fabulous. And also, just to let you know, another milestone, on BackaBuddy, the donations have just gone over the halfway mark. You're on 15,914 Rand and 33 cents.
Bless them all, bless them all, bless them all. Thank you to us all. I mean, I'm going to pass that on to the intrepid team, and it will spur us on for our next